I want to talk about a movie, a documentary I saw a couple of days ago. And so, if you're not interested in CIA or Cold War or coups and independence movement, any such things, this is not for you. So, you can stop seeing this here. Well, the name of the documentary is Soundtrack to a Coup d'etat. So the coup took place in 1960, but the movie is very recent. In 2025, it's a documentary nominated for the Academy and won the Sundance. And the setting of the coup is the Congo in Africa. The backstory is this. Like by the end of World War One, the continent of Africa was divided up among the usual colonial powers, Britain and France, and I think even Italy. But there's one exception, the Congo. It was actually under the control of Belgium. How it came to be under the control of Belgium was nobody. Actually, let me first say this. The Congo is in the very center of the continent, and it's actually the largest territory in it. And it was wild, forests, thick forests, and it's like the embodiment of the dark continent. It's forests and chimpanzees and wild elephants and mosquitoes and everything. And nobody wanted it. That's how come it fell to Belgium, because Belgium, not usually a colonial power, it was the king of Belgium got interested in getting on the colonial game, and he talked with his government to get on the game. And even the government was not interested in the Congo. So what the king did was he took, I don't think he bought it, he took a private army and occupied the Congo, and Congo became actually a private property, landed property of the King of Belgium. And he was an exceptionally cruel king. The West spurned the Congo, but it turned out to be the richest territory on earth. The King of Belgium discovered there is copper, and so he started mining copper, and for it, he kidnapped Congolese people and made them work without any remuneration, without wages, and they were never allowed to return home. And that was not where the suffering of the Congolese ended. They later discovered that Congo has the largest deposits of uranium. With the discovery of uranium, atom bomb came into picture. And so Congo became a very well sought out place. So in World War II, the King of Belgium actually by then, Belgium sold uranium to the United States. And with that, it wiped two cities, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, off the face of the earth. When the Second World War ended, the colonies of Britain, etc., they wanted freedom from colonialism. By 1947, India became independent, and then the other countries in Asia and Africa also wanted freedom, and Congo also wanted freedom. But Congo has uranium, it has copper, it has tin, it has gold, it has diamonds, it has so many things that the colonial powers didn't want to lose it to independence. The newly freed colonized countries, they had non-alignment summit in Bandung sometime in mid-50s, which means that they're not going to ally with America or with Soviet Union. They want to be neutral and they want to be together. And then there is Pan-Africanism, that is, the African countries wanted to get together and form United Nations of Africa. And then there was Abdul Gamal Nasser. He nationalized the Suez Canal to the chagrin of France and Britain and America. This is not so easy for Belgium to deny independence to Congo at the time. And on top of everything, the Soviet Union, the other superpower, was supporting colonial struggles. And Khrushchev was, for the freedom of Congo. So, with great difficulty and displeasure, Congo, elections were held in Congo, and the man that won the elections was a very young man, a very handsome man, a very well-spoken man named Patrice Lumumba. By this end of Second World War, America became the superstar among the imperialist colonial powers, and it was not very happy with Lumumba winning the elections. I think this is where they figured out that Lumumba is not going to be easy to deal with. He's not going to be a puppet of the imperialists. This is where it began, I think. I should say this is about where the documentary starts. Lumumba was in jail for 6 months, but he used to go to Belgium and attend a place where they're going to announce the independence of Congo. So he comes directly from the prison, and then the first people to speak was Minister of State of Belgium, and in his speech, he says these things that are pretty ridiculous. He says, like, the independence of Congo crowned the work initiated by the genius of King Leopold II, undertaken by his undaunted courage and carried on with perseverance by Belgium, blah, 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 which means that he's saying that it was a charity of Belgium that because of which Congo got independence. And then next speaker is Lumumba, and he talks like this. He says, nobody will bring us independence. We'll have to grab ourselves. To you who have fought for and won independence, I salute you in the name of the Congolese government. So he's saying to the colonialists, like, it's not your charity. We fought for it. You had nothing to do with it. This is, I think, where they figured out that they should get rid of Lumumba. After the Second World War, there is Cold War between America and, well, actually between the West and the Soviet Union. But it's not just in military terms. There is cultural front also in the Cold War. This is when America was sending jazz musicians as cultural emissaries to different countries in Africa to gain their goodwill. So as part of that, America sent Louis Armstrong. If you don't know him, he's a stalwart jazz musician. Louis Armstrong and Dizzy Gillespie and Thelonious Monk, they were all sent to Congo. And then to Nigeria, they sent Nina Simone and all that stuff. They thought that they were just being sent as cultural emissaries to introduce jazz music to the Africans. But it was not like that. Actually, a lot of CIA operatives went there as part of the troop. And that's, the Belgians and the Americans got together and they plotted a coup, and they bought mercenaries and the weapons, and they bought off some of the leaders of independence in Congo, and that's where it all started. And later on, Louis Armstrong and Nina Simone and others, they found out that they were used by the CIA, and they denounced it. I think that actually Louis Armstrong actually left America because of that. I'm not sure, but that's what happened. And so the uniqueness of this documentary is that they spoke with the mercenaries who were involved in killing these people. And you see Lumumba being dragged off it's a real footage, And the cunningness of the CIA, we see all of that. And even the CIA people, that guy, I don't know his first name, Dulles, he was the CIA head. He was also interviewed, And then actually this footage is from audio memoirs of Khrushchev. and of a woman, I don't know how to pronounce her name, it's a French name. She was a speechwriter and an agent of Lumumba. And all of this documentary is interspersed with jazz music. And then, some Maya Angelou and some other women, they gate crash into United Nations Security Council meeting, and there's a huge raucous and everything. And Malcolm X was for Pan-Africanism, and so whole of Harlem erupted because of the assassination of Lumumba, and it was a huge deal. I think you should see the movie. It's really good. I mean, it's sad that Lumumba was assassinated, but and also this sad stuff is going on with the deportation of undocumented persons, and what's going on in Palestine. And in addition, this sad story, but somehow it feels like you should watch it. Castro and Khrushchev attend the United Nations, and Castro is denied stay at a hotel. So Malcolm X just scoops up a chance and invites him to stay in Harlem in Hotel Teresa, and all these Harlem black people go visit him. And Khrushchev is short, and Castro is very tall and big, and they're hugging, and there's so many people surrounding them. And a CIA operative approaches a cop and gives him a pack of cigars and tells him to offer it to Castro. So when he takes one cigar and lights it, his head will blow up and they can get rid of Castro. So the cop is very bewildered, but he refuses to do that. And that's how Castro did not die. And, it's very, very interesting movie. You must watch it. Soundtrack to a coup d'etat is available online. I watched it again on Prime, and if anybody is interested, I'd like to talk about the tidbits and gossip surrounding the movie and me watching the movie later on separately.